It's that time of the day again. It's me, your fictitious, salacious anti-hero, Hentai Happy. Let's get into it. Briffault's law maintains that the female, not the male, determines all the conditions of the animal family, where the female can derive no benefit from association with the male, no such association takes place. What this means is, a female ain't going to talk to you if you can't provide her with the given resource she needs at that specific time.
But, Hentai Happy God, isn't being resourceful to a woman beta?
Yes and no, human pleb. Let me explain. When a woman has a high level of sexual interest for a man, that man becomes a resource. She seeks out his association because it can benefit her in two domains: carnal impulses and reproduction. Why, you ask? Very simple. He can provide her with the genes through which she can satisfy her sexual appetite and desires, subconsciously hoping to reproduce his genes as well. Have you ever seen a girl so cute that you just want to bite her cheeks? Either set is fine. And rip her clothes off? Well, girls think the same thing about hot guys. They won't be able to control themselves in the bedroom. The alpha male is essentially providing a resource, his features. But then again, his features are a part of him and only need a slight upkeep to be maintained. He cannot give away his features and not receive anything in return. They are permanent and allow him to receive the give and take of a woman, wherein there is an exchange of looks and the validation of being with a hot guy for the girl's carnal activities, raw desires, and feminine qualities, such as cooking, cleaning, and caring. Whereas beta loser simps typically spend all of their hard-earned cash resources on even intangible women like e-girls, cam girls, thoughts, and now e-thoughts. They've come to expect nothing in return because societal feminist conditioning has brainwashed men into moving their resources into the hands of women, where it be material items, money, attention, and validation. It is still a transactional association with zero interest or gains on investment. Even young children like boys are taking to this pastime, commandeering or stealing their parents' credit cards and running up the limit of a $20,000 debt line in less than 2 weeks just to receive the acknowledgement of a female streamer. I find this behavior quite feminine, disturbing, and sad. It's feminine because seeking validation is a feminine trait. It's sad because the boy has ample opportunity to speak to girls and women at school or at the grocery store for free. Women do pay for validation by getting professional photos done, buying designer clothing, and getting their nails done, changing hairstyles. But it is nowhere near running up a $20,000 debt for an intangible and immaterial correspondence. You have to remember, Louis Vuitton can only cost so much. And finally, it's disturbing because the latest young generation is being raised on a purely monetary transactional association with women, governed solely on the principle of being a beta provider. If women already don't see all men as banks, they sure will come 20 years from now, when these boys and girls become men and women. Well, males and women. You can thank the e-thoughts for taking over what was once a purely gaming sphere, using their subversion of claiming they played video games as a mean to infiltrate the domain. Knowing men would welcome them with open arms. A woman playing video games? Hallelujah! I remember when girls used to make fun of boys for playing video games while they would bring Tween magazine to school. Suddenly, these same girls 20 years later are milking the same men they persecuted for their passion. How the times have changed. How the world has turned itself upside down. Let's get back on topic. While doing night or day game in the mall, in my opinion, it doesn't fucking matter what time it is. The mall is always filled with people and lights. I have the luxury of picking and choosing the hottest women to talk to. I usually aim for the 9s and 10s. Many of these girls will stop for you and see what you have to say if you fit their requirements by being fit and handsome. Now, in viral computer Trojan times, it's tough to see who's a 9 on 10 or a 10 on 10 with the masks. So what I did was deduce the facial bone structure of the girls based on their upper cheeks. Even then, I wouldn't approach until I noticed her catching my gaze and holding it for 2 seconds. I was sans masque, so obviously putting myself at risk, but the payoff was good. So I took into consideration the facial structure and the gaze a girl would hold. If she held the gaze for 2 seconds or more, it was game time. In a mall during a worldwide crisis, it was plentiful amount of opportunity for me to game. You see, AMS talks about alpha male strategies, talks about choosing signals, and I agree with his interpretation. There are some feminine girls out there, so a smile here, a wave there, or a loud fawning heckle in a female groups still have their place. But during these paranoid times, where people are instructed not to talk, even with masks on, and to keep a distance, those blatant choosing signals are perhaps on ice. Who knows if they will resurface come happier times. So in essence, the only signal I have to go on is the gaze. I have to properly determine if a girl is good looking, given her facial structure and jawline. You may think this is a shot in the dark, but beautiful girls typically have similar features and a predictable jawline. My strategy is to walk at a cool, calm pace and use the corner of my eye to notice a distant gaze. At that point, I have 3 seconds to determine whether or not the girl's pretty and whether or not she's locking eyes with me. After those 3 seconds have elapsed, she's within 2 feet of me. I approach like I'm approaching a horse, to the side, so as not to alarm the pony. Though, I caught myself going full-on targeted shoulder missile a few times. I exchange playful banter. Some girls will bring up something random, something they think is random, but I know all about it because the bitches think the same way, to see if I know what they're talking about. Then they get surprised that I know about it. I tell them to exchange social media and that we can share our interest. As soon as we part ways, I send a text immediately and tell them it was nice meeting them, to which they respond with a wall of text about how it was nice meeting me. Then I mention the topic of a date to see whether or not they're inclined, and mention my work early in the next morning. Once they say yes and wish me a good morning, I leave it for 2 weeks, 1 or 2 weeks, depending on the prospects. This is how I work, and this is how it works for me. On the other hand, you'll notice that there are some girls who won't stop for you. Girls that were locked staring at their phone when you first caught wind of them, and when you decided to approach them. How can she reject me when she hasn't even seen me yet? Simple. Some crimson pill poppers will say she saw you from a mile away, but she just wasn't interested in your goods. It's possible. Or the other possibility is, because she's an absolute smoke show. And here's the kicker. She knows it. She's probably seeing 9 or 10 other guys per week, per month. She's using her phone to manage her appointments via the social media chat app that she has. These guys are established guys, CEOs, Fortune 500 bosses, professional athletes, lawyers, doctors, neurosurgeons, etc. Why would she speak to a guy she met in a mall when she can pick and choose her pick of the litter using the tool of choice? The one that gives her all the validations, the feelings of self-worth, the tingles, the praise, the glory. Social media. Why tread unfamiliar waters when she's a social media superstar? Why would she gravitate towards the unknown where she can feel powerless and less in control? So when a girl doesn't even look at you, there's a good chance she's content and in her little world. Don't get me wrong, she may have even seen you, but not in the way you think. Not as a person, not even as a meal ticket, but an ant. You may have caught a glimpse of ants on your daily commute, but do you go out of your way to squish them? No, because you know nothing will come of it, and you may even soil your shoes. You just ignore them and keep going towards your goal. Same thing with most of the smoke shows. She can see no benefit from associating with you. Back to Briffault's law. She may even ruin her reputation communicating with you, depending on your pedigree or your social status. So it is like that you are ignored. Don't take it personally. It reminds me of how Ivar from the show The Vikings looked at people during the battle. Only very few registered as humans. The others were carcasses. It's a sociopathic mindset, but that's how women were raised nowadays. A girl in the 50s would have stopped, smiled, and asked if you need anything of her. Not today. You gotta remember, these girls are plating 40 high-value guys a month. If you're a high-value guy, how many high-value girls are you gonna be plating? I guarantee you, it's not 40 a month. Trust me. Men will never know what it's like to be in demand by high-value women unless they have clout themselves, like Elon Musk or Bill Gates. However, some of these girls are actually in a relationship, and if you turn around the corner to see where they're going, sometimes it's back to a man. I've had girls in relationships be very receptive to my come-ons, all the while their boyfriend is in the background. It just depends on how determined the girl is. I went on about a whole library of Nintendo Switch games that we had in common, and the boyfriend was waiting in line at the cash register buying her games and a protective pad for Nintendo Switch. I added her to social media, no trace of her boyfriend. Later she goes into the line, and her boyfriend asks her, who's that? And she tells him we had a lot in common and it was fun talking to me. Dread game initiate. She sees the opportunity to use dread on him. Either this relationship is very old and boring, or she's thinking about branch swinging. This level of disrespect is unheard of in my neck of the woods, especially if it's a new relationship. She basically just communicated, look at this hot guy. He was talking to me, and we share things in common. Looks like the bank is not doing things well. In my new workplace, I was met with two situations where association did not exist from the first day. One was with a HB6 and the other was with a 4. The HB6 was timid and intimidated by my features. I'm a smoke show, by the way. Once she got wind from my colleagues that I was a really good worker with years of experience and a chill guy, she started testing the waters by saying hi to me in the hallways. Because I had been accepted by her colleagues and her boyfriend, whom I would mentor and correct his mistakes, she began the communication. She was already in a relationship at that time, but she saw the value in associating with me. Next situation, the 4 on 10. The 4 on 10 would completely erase me from her line of sight. She was always flirting with the COO of the company and her supervisor. This isn't just a small daily thing, this was 8 hours per day. She was obviously fucking with one of them. I would say it's the COO because she used 6 of those hours per day just to talk with him. She wanted that promotion badly, and the CEO would come in most of the days, sit at his desk, order breakfast, lunch, and then leave to live his extravagant life. He didn't manage anything. It was all profit for him. The 4 on 10 never small chatted me because she had the in with the people that mattered. To her, at least. A side spin-off story. So we're talking about mall game. This story was a recent story that happened, so I'll just cover it. I recently discovered a cove area where all the night workers assemble, just playing with their phones and standing in obfuscated lighting. I went up to several of them at that area and asked them what their major was. They said business or management finance, of course. They were DTF, I charmed them, but I was turned off by the business management finance thing. I actually thought that their major, the first day I approached, was actually real. I personally don't enjoy university girls at all, especially if their major is something so masculine, so I turned them down. The next day, I realized they were all standing in the same place, waiting for clients. Some of them even had females. The female clients were even making out with them. There was even a first-year high school girl, marriage age where I'm from, but she didn't even look like a first-year high school girl with the way she dressed, the way she was endowed, and the way the makeup was applied. It was a professional job. The female high school girl worked for a very protective madame, early 40s, 50s female pimp, who would randomly grab the girl by the hip and kiss her neck or squeeze her hand, then kiss it. The girls seemed to be enjoying it too, which led me to believe the girls in the basement area were all operating under the madame's bisexual circuit. This was all hidden in plain sight. Had I not taken the red pill, I wouldn't have been able to deduce any of this. Had I not been gaming the area for a few days in a row, I would still be in the bliss of ignorance. What was my reaction? What did I do? Absolutely nothing, because this does not concern me. If they've been operating there for a while, and I was keen on them after just a few days, I'm sure the authorities, with their detective backgrounds, this was all hidden in plain sight. Had I not taken the red pill, I wouldn't have been able to deduce any of this. Had I not been gaming the area for a few days in a row, I would probably still be in the bliss of ignorance. What was my reaction? What did I do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because this does not concern me. If they've been operating there for a while, and I was keen on them after just a few days, I'm sure the authorities, with their detective backgrounds, know about them as well. And if they haven't done anything about it yet, that means the rabbit hole goes deeper than a 14-inch Chad rooster inside of your girlfriend's poo-poo hole. Paul's law maintains that the female, not the male, determines all the conditions of the animal family. Hey guys, we made it to the end of the video cast. Thank you for watching this podcast. If you liked it, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to share it to other people. Red pill knowledge is very useful in their daily lives. Also, if you found the information valuable enough, please donate at streamlabs.com/Oppaigame or become a patron so you can see more videos at patreon.com/HentaiHappy. I'll see you in the next video. Get on your purpose. Get on your grind.